So some users might not even know that the search is problematic. If you did a search for me, I showed you last week, for a certain period of time, what was my name? You don't even know who I am. Well, that's great. That's a great way to wake up. Wake up, everyone. Here we are. We're in cataloging our organization of information. OK, so what name would you find some of my stuff under? Dravenstadt, OK. Dravenstadt, comma, Karen Markey, I think it was, wasn't it? And I would show it to you, but why can't I show it to you? Because the government shut down. We use a government database. However, I could show it to you in Merlin. I could show it to you in Merlin. So if I go to Merlin and I search for my name, okay, there I am, Dravenstadt. It says heading information, Dravenstadt, Karen Markey, C, Markey, Karen. So the catalog gathers together all the stuff I've written under this one form of name. All right? That's it. And there are rules in RDA that tell you why use this name and not the other name. And I'm not the only person who changes my name. There are authors who write stuff, and they use different names. In fact, I did a search on Google, what is it? Famous people with pseudonyms. And you have this nice long list of, oh, nom de porn. I wonder what that is. Pen names. So you have all these people who have used various names in their lives. And when you find material written about them or by them, you have to go through this process of, oh, I'm interested in this person. What name do I search by? Now, end users don't think that way. They just say, oh, I know this person. Who do I, what name do I search for? So I know Anne Rice, and so I'm just going to search for Anne Rice. But Anne Rice wrote under other names. And she wrote some pretty juicy stuff under other names. In fact, she may have even done, Libre de Porn, or what was it? Nom de Porn, OK. Does anyone know what that means? Porn names, OK. Names I have used when I wrote those books of pornography. Right? See, now people are tuning into this. Now they're interested. All right, so, and there are long, long lists. I did some other searches, and there's one person that used, I don't know, you can look it up, like 148 different pseudonyms. It's amazing someone has that much to say. It really is. But okay, so this happens all the time, but in the scheme of things, not really, really often in the library catalog. So we have some of these people who have multiple names, and eventually the library catalog gives up and says, I just can't use one particular name, right? So it violates the rule of uniform heading, and it says whatever name the person used to write a particular book, article, whatever, we're going to use the name in that particular item. But it's only for a small subset of names. It's not for this many, many groups of names. It may be for people, well, it's for people like our friend, Barbara Vine. Barbara Vine. When she writes the scary stuff, what name do we use? Barbara Vine. When she writes the sort of detective stuff, this kind of pedestrian, I mean, the person's already dead by the time they get there. What name do we use? Ruth Rendell. Okay? So that violates that rule of uniform heading. When you use subject-oriented databases like ERIC or PsycInfo or sociological abstracts or historical abstracts, and the list goes on, look at all 1,000 of them in search tools, when you ever use those, they don't have authority control. So you have to, as a user, wade through the process of finding the correct name and all the other names. So if you search for me under Markey, you get stuff written back in the dark ages in the 1970s, believe it or not, and the 1980s. then it's like I fell off the side of the earth. There's nothing. And then I come back to life in the 2000s, in more ways than one. That was a little joke, but no one kind of got it. Everyone said, oh, we'll be real nice and we won't tell her what we're thinking. So in any case, no, I didn't get reincarnated. Change the name, then change the name back. And so the catalog very nicely makes all those various connections. Unusual in the sea of databases are databases from the H.W. Wilson Company that apply authority control to its indexes. Alas, alas, EBSCOhost ate Wilson. What will they do with its databases? I don't know. We shall see. We'll get rid of the authority control after H.W. Wilson spent 125 years establishing it. I don't know, but we'll see. So this database has really clean indexes. Do users really realize that they miss all the forms of name? Probably not, but the library catalog helps them. When you're helping them with the subject-oriented databases, they need help. They need help. So, mark coding for titles that are authorized access points. Okay, we had this example earlier last week. You're cataloging a book that has authors for the book's 12 chapters and 2 editors. According to this rule in RDA, and I shouldn't call it rule, I should call it guideline. But I'm so used to AACR, Anglo-American Cataloging rules, that I always call it rules. Sorry, it should be guideline, whatever. According to this particular guideline, the resource's title would become the authorized access point. Hence, there is no heading in the 1XX field. There is none. There is none. And so what we do is we convert in mark the first indicator to a 0. And the terminology that OCLC bibliographic formats uses for that is very, very old-fashioned. And RDA doesn't use it. But for some reason, the mark formats still use it. So hopefully, in time, that terminology will become easier. I think the rule here, if I could just take that terminology, in fact, let's look at it real quick. So we're going to go to the 011. No, we're going to go 245. This terminology is really old-fashioned. Okay. No added entry, added entry. What does that mean? Don't worry about it. 1 means I have a 1XX field. Okay? Can you remember that? 1, 1. 0 means I have no 1XX field. So I'm going to just turn that to a 0. Okay? Otherwise, I have to get you through this terminology. It's so old-fashioned. Let's not go there. Okay. Back to cataloging. So here's an example where we do have a 1XX field for Lois Chan. Who's the author? So the first indicator is a 1. And let's not worry about the second one. First indicator here is a 1. So I'm sorry, I messed up. Forget about the 1XX. In the 245, the first indicator is a 1. Okay? That's all we need to know here. However, if this was edited by her, she would be in the 700 field, and I would put a 0 in the 1. Okay? Just some mark coding trivia. Mark coding trivia. However, it's important because there's a lot of stuff that you're going to be cataloging that's edited works. And maybe you'll have one for your quiz. But I don't know. Okay, I think this is a what is important here. So RDA and Cutter uphold the user principle that puts the burden on librarians to handle this problem of names. Names for persons, names for corporate bodies, names for families. Authority work is how librarians exert control over this. We have guiding principles for personal names, and for corporate bodies, it's the same thing. Choose the form of name that's most commonly known. Use LC authorities for establishing access points. That's all you have to do is once you know what name you're going to use, you look at LC authorities and you look for the correct form of name, and you literally transcribe that correct form of name into the catalog record that you're working with. In a lot of systems that you'll be handling, that's all you do is click there, and that particular name is going to pop right into your bibliographic record. Okay? Now, why can't I show you LC authorities? What happened?
It's up. It just has a banner up top that says it's going to be down, but it's still...
No! Yes! Now, will it be up for your test next week? So I don't quite know what to do. Is it hot in here? Or it's really hot in here. There it is. Oh my God, it's hot because it's up to 85. Okay, maybe we can get some air in here. Whew. I can't take much else off. And if I did, I'd get into trouble. I'd get into trouble. And you would all faint. All right, so let's get on to some new stuff. Review answers for both choice and form of headings. Here we go. But it's up? It really is? Oh, I was so excited. It's up. It's up. I'm so excited. I can't stand myself. All right. So let me hand out your answer sheets, and let's take a look. So let's just go back to the assignment. Let me put it up here for the poor people who are online saying, what is she talking about? What is she talking about? So here's the answers for the sample. And the sample's a really good example. So on the title page was the name Pat Kranzler, MA. Remember that? So I go to LC Authorities, and I search for Kranzler, Pat. Oh, I got a reference here. I don't know if this is her yet. Okay, so their decision was based for this Pat Kranzler on the 7 marriages of your marriage. Probably been through that too. But the 7 marriages of your marriage, whatever that means. So do you think this is the same Pat Kranzler as the one who wrote The Creative Divorce? Okay, it sounds like it. It sounds like here she was stuck on marriage and then she got stuck on divorce later. Okay? So you have the same one. And what does it tell us? What's the form in the 1XX field? I want to hear it. Kranzler, Patricia B. So what we literally do is we just copy that and we paste it. We'll just copy it right here. And we go back to our so-called bibliographic record and we paste it in. That's all let's do it. That's all let's do it. And just make sure that you have your tags right. She's a co-author, so she's in the 700 field. And then we set the relator, and her relator was author. Okay? Cool? Easy, easy peasy. Next one. This even gets easier with the next one, right? And I'm sure you agonized over it forever. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. Do we have an answer sheet for a latecomer? Okay, just pass it over. I don't care if you're late. There was probably a good reason, right? You were at the coffee shop. You were eating donuts. You were looking at the peregrine falcon that's over at the Burton Tower, who may have left some remains. It was a yellow-shafted flicker, but in any case. You remember last week I brought in the wings? Okay. I know people online are saying, what is she talking about? But in any case, okay, so here's our book. Anna's book. And very prominently it says on the cover, Ruth Rendell, writing is Barbara Vine. Got it? Got it? See it? Wonder what it looks like on the title page, because that's all that really, really matters here. Anna's book, Ruth Rendell, writing is Barbara Vine. What is she trying to tell you here? Who is she writing as? Good. What's the form of name? What's in your 1XX field? Vine, comma, Barbara. All right? And let's go to the LC authority file to find that out. I'll look under Ruth Rendell. You notice that I don't often type in the whole name. I don't really have to, because I'm just going to browse through the list. And Ruth Rendell is an easy enough name. Ruth Rendell, there she is. Oh my God, 164 things, wow. See also Barbara Vine. As soon as I see the see also, I know Barbara Vine is an authorized name, and so is Ruth Rendell. They're both authorized. It just matters as to the form on the book at hand. Now here we have two forms, but she's trying to tell you, this is the scary stuff, guys. This is stuff that's going to keep you awake at night. When you hear bumps in the night, you're just going to like get up real quick and check. All right? So that's all. That's all. That's all we need to do. So if we look at our record, in the 1XX field is Barbara Vine. Now everyone's saying, but shouldn't I have a 700 for Ruth Rendell? No, Ruth Rendell is not the co-author. That's for the co-author. You're going to say, but, I'm totally confused. I'm totally confused. And let me show you what you're confused about. Here's the world of the library catalog, okay? Here's the catalog. Here's all the books. Book, okay? Books. And I don't know what, it's just going to be a box. There's the library catalog, or the database. Library catalog. And it has all our bib records in it. These funny looking things right here. Those are all the bib records, okay? Bib records, bibliographic records, document surrogates, whatever you want to call it. Got it? There's another database out there, and that's the local authority file. And it's separate. It's separate. All right? And when we catalog this particular item, it's a little bit more complicated than this, but basically what we do is we go out to the Library of Congress and we claim the Library of Congress cataloging record, and we input it into this database. But in a sense, it's all done automatically. You don't have to do anything. Okay? So you're just building the bibliographic file. So don't worry about the 700, or putting your name in a 700, or adding the see also reference. That's done in a separate operation. All right? And it's going to be different for every catalog you're dealing with, okay? What you may actually have to do is actually build a local authority record. And in some cases, you don't have to. Probably at the University of Michigan, they have a vendor that every year or something, the vendor will pass the University of Michigan's bibliographic database against the whole LC authority file and pull out all the authority records that are relevant. Because the Library of Congress's authority file covers all the library materials that the Library of Congress owns. And they're different from Michigan, different for Ohio State, different from Indiana, different from, who are we playing? Minnesota. Okay? So don't worry about trying to trace the other form of name. Don't even worry about it. Just plunk the correct one in the record, and you're done. Do you all understand that? You're all with me. Now, I know you're going to go to a library catalog, and I know exactly which one it is, and you're going to see a 700 here. And under you're going to see Ruth Rendell. To be honest with you, it's just incorrect cataloging. And you're going to see it when you catalog an OCLC. You're going to see it when you go to your local public library. It's incorrect. Bottom line. Bottom line. It's certainly not RDA cataloging. It is an AACR1 cataloging. It is an AACR2. There is some cataloging that isn't right. Isn't right. So don't be deceived by what you find in the catalog when it's a combination of all other libraries. Look at, in fact, you could look in the Library of Congress database online catalog for this, and you're not going to see Rendell traced in the 700. And that's the best cataloging out there. And when you do copy cataloging at your library, whether you're at the Ann Arbor Public Library or the Naples, Florida Public Library or Indiana University or here at U of M or wherever you are, and if you catalog to OCLC, which is a big international cooperative, everyone's going to see your cataloging. And there are certain libraries which catalogers just know. Cataloging just isn't correct. So if you use a incorrect library's cataloging, you have to make local changes. Or, you can perpetuate the wrong stuff. Whatever you want to do. You're the one on the job, not me. Plus, yours may be the library who gets the bad name, and all the OCLC catalogers know who they are. They just know who they are. Okay, next one. Any questions about this one? So basically, the only access points here really are eventually the title and the author. That's it. Next one. So this was an interesting work because this is one that's a compilation of stuff from all different people, right? So there's an editor, Linda Lewis. Where's that little black thing? There it is. So there's an editor, Linda Lewis, and then there are many, many chapters written by all different people. So this particular item is governed by rule 627, rule, guideline, whatever, 627.14. It's a collection of independent works by different persons. Thus, the title becomes the authorized access point. And now we deal with field 245, and we change the first indicator from 1 to 0. So that's basically all that's needed here. And we have to make a decision whether we are going to trace Linda Lewis in the 7XX field. Yes?
And if you're tracing Linda Lewis, why would she be listed as editor instead of editor of compilation?
Pardon me?
One of the choices for titles you can give them is editor of compilation. Is she editor because that's what she calls herself on the title page? Or?
It's more, to me, it's more tradition than anything else. Editor of compilation, I would need to, let me go to RDA and see what the note is. Okay, so let me go take a look. So I'm bringing up RDA. And we want I3. Oh, of course I can't get on. I got to add in my password. What was it? I3. So editor of compilation. It's such a fine hair. You read the two definitions. To be honest with you, most of the times we're just saying editor. I don't think I've ever used the word compilation in class. I just happened to use it in my previous paragraph describing this. I'm sorry that I did to bring this out. However, we did bring it out. I would say most of the time we're just going to say editor. Okay? This is weird. I mean, it's almost the same. How would you distinguish between the two? Read those. How would you distinguish between the two? Yes?
We were thinking if it was an anthology, like there were many different chapters. I agree that it's still stupid, but that's like the best that I can do.
Ask the people who made up RDA. I don't have a clue. Again, some of these things are things that I've discussed with Magda. Are our textbook's author, our author of our textbook. I don't know if either was correct, but in any case, you get the picture, all right? And she says, you know, we don't have a complete list of these. Everything's going to shake out. Eventually, they're going to change, and so on and so forth. So roll with the punches. If you put down iterative compilation, I'd probably say, huh? In my, you know, when I corrected your test. It isn't necessarily wrong right now. Right now, most of the times we just say editor. That's it. That's practice. Weird. Weird. Give me a better definition, RDA. Huh?
It does say one or more creators. So how long, if it was by several creators, I would understand, but it's one or more.
It's the pits. It's the pits, okay? Do they, look in the glossary. I don't have time to look in the glossary, but look in RDA's glossary and see if they define compilation. Okay? And then I'm going to continue on. Are there any other questions about this particular example? And I added some big, heavy notes up on top, I believe, so you can read those. Again, adding an access point for the editor is authorized by the non-core rule, 22.4. And so your decision could be a matter of library policy. Maybe you're a library of lots of money and you don't care how long you spend cataloging, or this is about education and you have a big education school, or Linda Lewis actually teaches in your school of education. I don't know. All right? To be honest, with practice, library practice, one editor, just shove it in a 700 field. That's practice. That's practice. Okay? Compilation. Glossary? Yet? No? Okay, moving on to the next one. Does anyone have any questions about this? Number 2. Then moving on. AACR. The original. All right. What did I say about this? This falls into the corporate body rule, right? Falls into the corporate body rule. What's the corporate body rule? I don't know. Let's go find it. And it's 19.2.1.1. How do I know that rule? I have memorized it. I have looked it up and agonized over it so many times I know it by heart. And so will you. You'll just get to know these rules. Oh, yeah, 627.4.1, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what it falls under. 19.2.1.1, so on and so forth. You just get used to these. So, works of an administrative nature dealing with any of the following. Is AACR 2 the internal policy, procedure, finance, or operations of the library associations listed there? Is it? It sure is. Tell me why. Someone tell me why. Yes?
It's their cataloging rule, so that's a procedure that will be followed in catalog.
Right. And they have huge memberships. And in fact, if you look at the new rules, RDA, let's look at the new rules, which are not unlike AACR. Who publishes these? Who's this available from? Does it say? Your profile is locked, blah, 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 it's inactive. Logged out. Oh, Copyright, the American Library Association, Canadian Library. Do you see who even owns the copyright for this? Was it the same for AACR? Okay. It's published by the American Library Association. Yeah. This is what they want their members to follow. So this fits the corporate body rule. Hence, in our 1XX field, we know we're going to have a corporate body. And what's the name of the corporate body? What's in the 1XX field for cataloging this? American Library Association. Let's look for the correct form of the American Library Association. But let me sign on to Toolkit. What was I going to do? I was going to do a new search. It's timed out. It always times out. American Library Association, that's the form in the 1XX, okay? And we use, in this case, the 110 in our cataloging example. Now, if we stick to RDA, just the core, we only have to write down the first one. That's it, it's over. That's over. Why did I trace all the other three? Why did I trace Library of Congress, Library Association, blah, blah, blah? They're co-authors, okay? That's true, they are co-authors. But why did I trace them? I don't have to if it's core. If I'm just cataloging core. Why? It was on the resource, it's there. What if there were 18 of them? What if there were 18 more of these? That is, it would be the Romanian Library Association and the German Library Association and the French Librarian Association and the Algerian Library Association and the South African Library Association, blah, 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 New Zealand Library Association, whatever. Huh? I can't hear you. It's my library's policy, and what kind of library might I work at to be in a position to trace all of them? What kind of a library? Oh, come on, guys. This is not rocket science. Help out the person that's watching from home saying, it's the University of Michigan. They don't know the answer to that. I do. Answer me, you know. What? It's an academic library. Okay. I could be an academic library with, like Earlham College, there's only 1,000 students and 10 faculty. Okay, yeah, tell me more.
Well, we could say that we're an academic library of school information in the United States, and so it's in our best interest to show the excellence of the Library of Congress, the Canadian Library Association.
Yeah. I mean, you can make up stories. It's okay to make up stories because you have to think about what you would do given certain circumstances. So, academic library, that's great. I'm an academic library, and I collect over 1 million books a year. And we do a lot of cataloging. So I want to trace all those other organizations. I'm an academic library, and we have an iSchool. We have a library school. The students may access it from some of these other names. So make up stories. Make up stories. Make up another story saying, we're just tiny little academic library. We have 1,000 students. We hardly have 50. We have maybe 25 regular faculty, and all the rest are adjuncts. We don't need that information. And I only have so much time. Yeah? Good, make one up. I love stories.
If you're a small public library, you might not even do your own cataloging, but they outsource some of that sometimes, so we probably wouldn't need it. Need much information.
Right. Yeah. I'm Mayo Public Library up in here. Okay? And the only thing I'm interested in is the Forest Service going to work today. Okay? So that people come into town and eat at my restaurant. That's all I care about. Okay? And check out the public library during the noon hour. That's all. So, stories. That's what you have to think about. Just make stories up. Eventually, you're going to be in a real library, and there won't be any stories anymore. And then you'll know the policy. Yeah?
For the order of the 7XX fields, do you just take it the same order as the research?
Order to the 7XX fields. Great question. You can do anything you want. Okay? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Because eventually a programmer is going to come by and she is going to apply their display algorithm, which is going to display this record in a nice form in your library. In fact, let's take a look. Did I write them down in the order they came on the source? Right here? Are they? Okay. So let's go to Merlin. Did I get rid of Merlin? There's so many things I want up here. So let's go to Merlin. And someone tell me the title of this work on the title page. What is it called? Anglo?
American cataloging.
Is it cataloging rules?
Nope.
Second edition, does this look pretty good? This is something in the Hottie Trust. I don't know how this is going to be cataloged. Oh, look at that. Oh, no, this is something different. That's Michael Gorman's book. What's the publishing date on this? 19 what? 70 what? 1970? Okay, let's try this. Was there an editor? We might not be able to find the right version. Okay, now realize that this was cataloged long time ago. So it may be an AACR. Oh, isn't that interesting? Yeah. Well, let's look to see the names. American Library Association's first Library of Congress. They didn't even trace the others. Very interesting. Yeah.
My question was actually going to be about that. The Library Association doesn't have an authority record in the Library of Congress, so can you still put it in there?
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Let's go search for it. What is it called? There it is. There it is. For some reason, they didn't trace the V. Okay? So there it is. You have to be creative with these. And for something like an article, I would just take it off and search it. Okay? All right, let's go on to the next one. Any other questions? Yes?
I thought for the V, you left the American Library Association, and then in the second subfield, you put 4 for 4 non-filing characters, like 71024, or 11024. Does that make sense?
110.
Then 2, and then instead of the pound sign, 4 for 4 non-filing characters because of the.
Okay, I may have coded that wrong. It's entirely possible. So I'm going out to the 1XX field. I'm looking. Okay. The first indicator is the name in direct order, a 2 and then a space. Is that what I have? Okay, that's it. That's correct. You're thinking of the 245 field.
Okay, so it's only, okay, so you only.
It's only on the 245 field. Okay, you guys cool?
Yes.
Good. Next one. All right. Now here's another one where Jenny Priest's name is prominent. So we know without a doubt she is the author. And then our next decision is do we trace the other 5 authors? Why did I trace it? Let's say I'm cataloging here at the University of Michigan. Why do I trace the other authors? Yes? And what is this book about? Okay, so this book is about HCI. We have an HCI program right here in the School of Information. And so students, as well as instructors, may know these people. And without a doubt, they probably do. So I would trace them.
Without a doubt, they probably do.
Is my English bad?
I'm just wondering if that's a contradiction or not.
Okay. I guess my reaction to that, you work it out. Okay? Okay. So I would expect my colleagues would know these people. Whether they do or not, I would have to ask them. I don't have that kind of time. Stephanie?
What is the rule for when you put a date field, like if you do a Jenny Priest, and when you don't?
Oh, that's real easy. Who knows the answer to that one? Why is the date there? Yes?
Wait, I don't know the answer. I'm just.
Yes, Karen.
Could be authority file.
It's in the authority file. So let's go to the authority file. You should be looking up every single name in the authority file. You should look up Rogers, Yvonne, Sharp, Helen, Benyon. Ooh, Simon Holland. We know when he was born. It's probably in the authority file. So let's look up Jenny Priest. Go to the authority file. Everyone should be doing this. You aren't doing this. Boy, I get to mark things off on the test. I'm so excited. So excited. So let's look under Jenny Priest, P-R-E-E. Jenny Priest. That looks like her, maybe. Oh, look in the 670 field, human-computer interaction. I guess they must have been cataloging this very book. What's her form of name? Priest Jenny 1949. What do I have in my record here? Same exact thing. I copy it off the authority file and I paste it into my bibliographic record. Everyone here should be clear on that. Everyone. Everyone. Back in the day before the LC authority file, we had to do our own authority work. We had to actually, as you know, back in the day, you saw the copyright date on this. Back in the day, we literally had to look in the catalog. We had to look in reference works. We actually had to like take a reference class to find out what the reference works were because you got to know their names. Like 647. Is anyone taking 647 here? Okay, you learned some sources. That's what you had to do. Isn't it so easy? What all we do is look in the authority file. All those librarians out there at the Library of Congress and at the PCC libraries who are building that authority file for us. We don't even have to do it. We just look it up. What could be easier? Where was the question? Yes?
For the 700 for Holland Simon, should the date be in a subfield D?
Yes, it should be. Good for you. Little tiny, and if I found that, I would go on the test. Okay? It's probably worth like 1/8 of a point or something, but you get the picture. My bad. I'm glad you noticed it. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to correct it. So future generations will find it in this class. So if you find problems with this, you tell me. Okay? Yes? Some of you look like you have questions. Anything else? Okay, no more questions. Next one. Birder's Guide. The author of this Birder's Guide is, why did these all fall right at? I've got an idea. There. Be easier to look at. Okay. So we're done with Jenny Priest. Now we're moving on to this one. Okay, so we only have one creator, and we have a few people who helped her. So what could be easier? So we put Peggy Van Holstein in the 100 field. We shoved the relator code on. We checked the authority file. I found her under this name. And so I just cut and paste this name from the authority file into my record. Now, your decision whether to trace Roger Tory Peterson and Anna Appleby, it's up to you. Remember Roger Tory Peterson, he had a half page forward. Okay, just a half page. That's it. Now, some users might say, if they're doing a bibliography on everything that Roger Tory Peterson wrote, might say, what a disappointment. I went to this book and there's only a half page. Not worth it. Peggy, or Anna Appleby, I can't find anything about her. I don't know who she is. I don't know where she birds. She's a birding consultant, but I don't even know what her area of expertise is. I don't even think, was that mentioned in the acknowledgments or anything? Was it? Everyone's looking at me like, I don't know. That's the kind of stuff you have to read. When you make these decisions, you have to read that. So let's take it out, which means it's probably way at the bottom, and I'll never find it. So take out the book. Forward acknowledgments. Okay, let's read the acknowledgments. Always deepest gratitude goes to my husband, David, whose humor, encouragement, and never getting the meal on time just drove me nuts. I'm just kidding. A special thank you goes to Roger Tory Peterson. I am grateful to Anna Appleby, my feisty and knowledgeable birding consultant. That's all she says. Well, what did she do? Okay, what did Anna do? So you might decide, not enough information. I'm not going to trace these people. Who knows what their role was? It's up to you. Okay, it's up to you. On the other hand, you might do like a Google search for Anna Appleby and find out she's really well known, almost as well known as Roger Tory Peterson. But I don't know. It's up to you. That's the kind of stuff you should be doing when you're making decisions like this. You should also say, what is my library? If this isn't an academic library, is this information important? Maybe Peterson is and Appleby isn't if you do some searches and never find out who this woman is. So those are the things that should be going through your mind, because this is not core. This is not core. And you have to make a decision whether you're going to add it or not. Also, some of you are saying, well, should I put birding consultant in? Again, as Magda would say, all these relators are in process. I doubt they'll ever have one as specific as birding consultant, because then you'd get a automotive assistant, what is it, consultant, and a carpeting consultant, and exit sign consultant, and a clock consultant, and so on and so forth. So putting an adjective before this, like birding or automotive or clock or whatever, kind of doesn't make sense. And I doubt they'll ever go that far. Okay? Any other questions about this one? Okay? Last one. I really like this example because who wrote the book? Who wrote the book? Everyone's as quiet as could be, like, heaven forbid I should be wrong. It just doesn't matter who wrote the book. You know who wrote the book. You see my answer. You look through this book and you say to yourself, well, here's just page 82. Sunday was very warm. We play soccer. Farmer Hertgam drive us to automobile in Niagara Falls. Mounted 3 tires. Worked at Hertgam's brother's place. We get cigarettes. We have Sunday today. Food good and plentiful. It rains heavenly all Sunday. Blah, blah, blah. It rains. The farmer didn't come for us. No work. We watched the movies. Next page. Page after page of what we did in the prison camp. Okay? Cushy, nice prison camp, you think? You read about it. Well, they got to see the movie Tundra. We will stage a variety show, page after page after page of this diary and letters. And then you go later on, and you have his letters, just letter after letter after letter. But you do have commentary by who? Gretchen, right? You do have commentary. So for the most part, this text was written, in fact, it even says diary and letters by Otto Hurthbot. You're going to see a lot of documents like this, a lot. She just put them all together and helps you to interpret them and says, oh, this one came in this year, and they're talking about this because this particular thing happened, and so on and so forth. That's what's going on here. So this is just a really great example of how you have to look at this stuff. You have to actually open it up and take a look and see what it's about, see who wrote it. So we just have Otto Hurthbot as the main entry, or the authorized access point with principal responsibility, and we have to make a decision whether to trace Gretchen Doolin. And she had a lot to do with this. I mean, consider all her effort that went into putting these together and talking to people in Youngstown and Western New York and so on and so forth. Try to get a feel for what this was all about. Okay. She gathered the photographs and so on and so forth. She did a lot. So I would add her. I think the other thing is to make a decision, should you trace the old Fort Niagara Association? Should you trace it? Is that useful? Depends on where you are. Make up a story.
So like if I was the public library in I might want to put it because locals might know what that is and it might have some.
Not only that, the old Fort Niagara Association might meet at the Youngstown Public Library every Friday night or once a month or something. So when they went to the catalog, they'd want to see all their publications gathered together. Now, what relator to put on it would be very interesting. Very interesting. So we almost have to say how... There was a note on here about what the old Fort Niagara Association did, and it's Old Fort Niagara Publications. It's on the verse of the title page. And the Publications Committee has been charged with establishing and maintaining an ongoing program of works relevant to the history of Fort Niagara. Okay? So that's pretty much all you need to know, and so on and so forth. Okay. That's pretty much what you need to know. So, with that in mind, if you trace the old Fort Niagara Association, and let's look in the authority file to see if there's a record. Is it a corporate body or is it a person? Corporate body. I'm glad I heard that. Old Fort Niagara. That's good enough. Oh, it's in there. Can you imagine? There's even a heading for it. So now we know what the form is. Old Fort Niagara Association. Now we just need to know, just going to copy it. Should I put in my bib record? Simple enough, 710. I can't remember. What's the coding? 2 star? Okay. And now I need to make a decision, what is the relator? That's a hard one. That's a real hard one. So look at the relator codes. Go to Access, RDA. So I3. There's a nice relator. Look at that one. Relator, writer of supplementary textual content. That sounds like an editor, doesn't it? There's nothing here, is there? Nothing here. Let's go to I2. So these are relators associated with works. I was just looking at expressions. Author, cartographer, choreographer. It's none of these. Praeses. Nope, not that. Sponsoring body, a person, family, or corporate body sponsoring some aspect of the work. Funding it, sponsoring an event. This is probably the closest, but it's still kind of vague. To me, the Old Fort Niagara Association is probably an organization that will say, gosh, it would be nice if we had books written about this and that, or publications written about this and that, right? And they might encourage authors. They might actually say, oh, I know, Gretchen Dooling, she'd be a great person for that. They ask her, she said, oh yeah, I have all that time in the world, I will do that. I'll write that book, hence she wrote it. And on the other hand, there may be authors locally, or maybe even people here at the University of Michigan, who may be experts in World War II prison camps for Axis soldiers. And they're interested in getting resources and finding people locally in the community. So they might just contact the Old Fort Niagara Association. They say, oh, we know just the people you need to talk to. So in a way, that's what these guys are. I'd say sponsoring body be the closest. Now, they probably didn't give any money or anything, but at least they had a role in it. Maybe they even had a meeting. So sponsoring an event, they had a meeting, they talked about it when they were trying to talk Gretchen into it. Yeah?
Would issuing the body be an option?
They didn't issue it.
They didn't issue it.
They didn't issue it.
I have another question.
Actually, let's take a look. Who is the... It is published by them. It is published by them. Old Fort Niagara Association. Issuing body. What does it say for issuing body? That might be a little bit better. I didn't realize they were the publisher in a sense. Yeah. I think that might be closer in this case. On the other hand, you could say they're a publisher. But if you look under I-4, there's no relator for publisher because we put that in 260. And on the other hand, I've changed my mind. I have just changed my mind. Because they are the publisher, I've decided, oh, I've already traced them in the 260B. I don't need them twice. Boom, they're gone. So wasn't that a nice discussion? This is the kind of stuff you can talk about when you deal with cataloging. It's really interesting, okay? I mean, I think it's interesting. This makes it exciting when I can go through and I can think these things through. That's just kind of nice. Oh, now I know why I didn't do that. Is there an LC Mark record for this? Is this cataloged by the Library of Congress? How would you know that? Well, it's real easy. You go out to Mark LC Authorities, you go to the Library of Congress catalog, you hope it's up and awake. Can someone give me the title of this work? What is it called? Legacy of what? No, they don't have it. Okay, they don't have it. Let's see if Ohio Link has it. No, they don't have it either. It's a pretty unique item. That's why I included it here. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Are we done? Yeah.
Is it ever an option not to include the other later term? Just leave it blank without?
I think for now you probably will want to until all this kind of comes together. You know, our DA is official only for the last 6 months about. Yeah. Yeah. But try to find one. And if you're really off the mark on a test or something, I will. But if it's reasonable and I can make a story around it, I'll let it go, but probably circle it and say, let's talk, or, you know, ask me in class, whatever. And I love to talk about this stuff because it's just kind of how many angels will fit on a pin. And it's cataloging. I love when you get into that kind of detail. Any questions about this? No? Okay. Well, I'm having a problem. Okay? I'm having a real big problem. And my problem is, what are we going to do next week? Are we going to have our test or not? So let's go look at the news and see what they're doing. Should we go to CNN? Meet Siri. Oh no! This is the most important thing in the world right now. Can you imagine? Okay, can someone show me where the world is going to...
Up at the top, there's tabs and then shut down.
Okay. But I want you to notice the most important thing. On Friday, to the United States, is Siri. Has something gone wrong with the world? So what are they talking about? Oh, they're going to discuss it. Is the speaker a Republican or Democrat? So they're just going to sit around and talk and smoke cigars. They aren't going to talk to anyone else? Okay. Well, all right. I don't know what to say about your test because I don't know whether it'll be up, and we're so glad that it was up and working today. No, but don't tell anyone. Okay. I was at an alumni event right after class yesterday, and we had two people, one from the Copyright Office and Elaine Didier, who's the director of the Ford Library right here on campus. And both of them were on furlough, and both of them were talking about they had to put their BlackBerries away. They had to, anything that dealt with work. They literally couldn't use it if they have a laptop. They can't open it. They can't use it, and so on and so forth. Or, they could lose their jobs. Right. Well, we used Eric, remember? Eric's down. Remember we used that yesterday?
Okay, so I thought maybe Eric ProQuest was still working, but other Eric wasn't. Did we use the other Eric?
Yeah. Take a look at the other Eric. So just go out to Eric. Oh, that's EBSCOhost. No, I don't want EBSCOhost.
Eric.ed.gov doesn't work for me. Yeah. You just get your users.
Right. So what is it, Eric?
Yeah, Eric.ed.gov. Yeah.
There you go. So Eric's not up. For those of you who know what Eric is. Okay, it's an educational database. It's not a guy. And that brings other images to mind, but I will probably get into so much trouble. And now someone heard it way off. Oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh, well, anyway, moving along. Now I'm really going to get into trouble, guys. My apologies. It just kind of... yeah. Anyway, moving on. So Eric, the database is, I don't know why that's affected, and Elsie isn't. Okay? They knew we had class. Isn't that wonderful? So I guess let's go day by day. Study for your test. We will monitor to see if LC is up. And here's the thing anyway. Next week, I'd like you to come a little bit early at 8:15. I think you know that I've had this on my calendar for a long time. I have to go to, I'll be off somewhere next week. And I'm going to leave here at 10:45. So if there is no, we'll probably know the day before. So no matter what, if you have to, you need the LC authority file to do your test, without a doubt. So anyway, that's what we'll do. We'll just kind of wait, and then if the system isn't up, then what we'll do is we'll just go to 10:45 that day and walk out, okay? That's it. And we'll just have the test the next week. And if it isn't up the next week, we'll wait till the next week. That's all we can do, because I can't issue a personal form of the LC authority file. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, we can review the main entry task. So let's do that. Oh my. So, where did I put the main entry task? There it is. So what I asked you to do here, I'm not going to talk about that like that. Let me back up and just say, we had a long discussion to some extent. We were going over your assignment here. Whether, God bless you, which heading should be designated as having principal responsibility. And that particular heading we put in the 1XX field, right? And for the last example, number 6, on this, you remember we put Otto Hurtbach first, right? Wouldn't it be easier if we put all the names just in a big 6XX bat and be done with it? And then we wouldn't have to worry about main entry or principal responsibility. It would just be so easy, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? We don't have to go through all this agony over which particular person, corporate body, or family had principal responsibility. It would be so easy. So you say to me, why do we go through this? Well, we've done it with AACR. We even did it before there was AACR. We had the ALA cataloging rules. Then we get AACR and AACR2, and now we have RDA. You would have thought that they would have said, boy, this takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time. Why do we have to continue doing this? But they decided to continue to do it with RDA. And it takes time and it takes effort. And if you make a decision that isn't in keeping with one of your colleagues, your cataloging isn't necessarily going to be the same. I mean, it happens a lot. You can look at cataloging and say, oh, I would have put such and such in the 1XX field. So you almost have to say to yourself, what do we buy by doing this? What do we get? What do catalogers users see as a result of this main entry stuff? And that's what this assignment was meant to do. It's all it was meant to do. So what I'm saying here is go to these 3 library catalogs. And if the Library of Congress wasn't up, that's no big deal. You can choose Merlin and Yale. And do a search for an author. Look at the retrievals. And see if the organization makes more or less sense, depending upon whether the programmer programmed the retrievals to display with main entry or with principal responsibility indicated. And I know that was a big mouthful, but that's all we're trying to do here in this assignment. So we're looking for Al Gore, the one guy who built the internet. Remember him? Okay. So let's go off quickly before it goes down. Let's go off and let's use Library of Congress. Let's just thank that little man or whoever. It might be Eric. That's where Eric is. Okay, Eric is out keeping the Library of Congress up. So let's do a basic search. And we're going to search with the author, creator, browse. And we're going to search for Gore, Albert, right? And then I'm going to choose the Gore I want. Not the old man Gore. Okay, the young kid. He's not young anymore. He ain't a kid because he does some weird things, right? Okay, now we have our retrievals. There they are. And this tells me that there are 97 manifestations, 97 books, whatever you want to call them, that were that Al Gore was responsible for in one way, shape, or form. And if you take a look through the organization, notice that name, main, and just look in this column right here. And it's blank here. It's blank. Wonder what that means. Here it says that there's a name heading associated, but here it says main author, creator, whatever. It's blank. Notice it doesn't say one with principal responsibility. It just says the main author. All those are zero. There's nothing in there. I wonder what that means. And I'm going to look at the bibliographic record, and I bet you any money there is no 1XX field. And there isn't. So Climate Change Action Plan must have been a work where many people were associated with it. And well, there aren't very many. There's just these two. They must have been an editor or something, but they are not the creators. Or they're not given creator status. Let's go to the next one. Environmental Gore. Edited by. You know immediately what happens with an book of edited works, right? No principal responsibility, because lots of people were connected with the publication of the item. Lots of people were connected with the creation of it. So let's look at the mark tags. Same thing. There's no 1XX field. Do you see? So all our retrievals, all 97, the first ones listed are the works for which Gore was connected with them in some way, shape, or form. But he didn't necessarily write them. And the cataloger did not really, in any way, shape, or form, assign anyone as the creator of these items. The authorship is diffuse. It's basically what's happening. Let's continue. Oh, look, these things he wrote with Bill Clinton. I bet you any money Bill Clinton is the main entry in this particular work. Or the contributor, the creator with principal responsibility. There he is. He's in the 1XX field. Do you see him? And it's the same thing for all the other works under Bill Clinton. So in a way, I have 97 retrievals. And the way in which the Library of Congress catalog displays them is first, the works where the authorship is diffuse. Then it shows it. The next items are the stuff that he wrote along with Bill. Here's the next things are the ones he wrote along with the Congressional Black Caucus. And then finally, here are all the items where he's listed as the main author, or the author with principal responsibility. So in a sense, I have 97 retrievals, but within those retrievals, I have little mini catalogs. So here's all this stuff with Bill Clinton. Here's all this stuff where he wrote it. Gore wrote it. He is principal. And what follows after that? This National Partnership for Reinventing Government, and there's tons of it. So then here's all our national reinventing. I think that's what we need right now, don't you think? Okay? And those go on and on and on and on. On and on. And they finally end, and the last one is something with the Internal Revenue Service. So IRS, big deal. So when we, in a catalog where principal responsibility is indicated, the display of the records is in an organized fashion. Are you with me? That's what happens. So in a sense, I have a tiny little organized catalog of all the stuff that Al Gore wrote. And if you look in Merlin, it does the same thing. And if you look in Yale, it does the same thing. That's what you buy when you maintain, you keep main entry, this whole idea of main entry, or now we're calling it principal responsibility indicated. That's what you keep. Toss it out, and this is gone forever. It's gone forever. Now, some of you might say, it just takes too long for me to do that main entry stuff. It just takes too long. There's too many decisions. I'd rather put all the access points into a big 700 vat and be done. Do that, and you lose this mini catalog. Let's take a look at Merlin really quick since I have it up here. So we're going to do the same kind of search. What's this guy's name? Gore? Albert? We have 112 records at Michigan. Look at the mess. Look at that mess. Look how those are organized. Look how they're organized. National Performance Review, National Performance Review, Gore Albert. They're a mess. If I click under Author, it reorganizes itself, and then the Clinton comes first, then the Gore, so to speak, more Gore, then the National Performance Review, National Performance Review, National Performance Review. Boy, they wrote a lot of stuff. National Performance Review. And then finally, all this stuff where there's no main entry indicated. And you're probably saying, why does it file first in the LC's catalog and later? It's a machine thing. That's all I'm going to say. It's just a machine thing. So do you understand what you're buying? Now you might say to yourself, well, I bet you most users don't even notice. In fact, the default search is by format. The default search. So actually, that's not true. What was my let's go back. What was it? What was it? Was it by title? So here, I want to do a basic search again. I don't know if I'll be able to redo that. Gore. Oh, Access America, you're right. Do you see? All the A's are first. Got it? All right, that's what you bought. It's up to you. Okay. So the library community has decided with RDA to keep this whole idea of principal responsibility, or formerly known as main entry. So that's why we do it. That's what this assignment was for. You can, if you didn't do the assignment, then do it again. You know, try it in the Yale catalog and see what happens. Any questions about this? Let's talk about indexing and searching, or Why We Catalog. It's a very famous series that Frank Capra. Does anyone know who Frank Capra was? Who was he? Movie director, very famous. And during World War II, when the guys were all drafted and so on, they actually had to make movies called Why We Fight, because people didn't quite know why. So you can read about that series, I'm sure, right there on Wikipedia or your other non-quality source of information that you usually go to. So, but from a so-called expert, or sometimes I wonder why they call me that, Why We Catalog. Okay, so, and it's basically all about indexing and all about searching. So the cataloging records that we make will eventually be added to online systems like the library catalog. We just searched 2 library catalogs, one at the Library of Congress and one at University of Michigan. And there will be software that indexes the records and makes them available for end users to search and retrieve. Typically, the indexes that we make are phrase indexes for author and title searches, keyword searches for authors and titles, and we'll talk about the benefits of each and then various limiting criteria we use, like publication date or language, on our retrievals. Now, I want you to know that online catalogs like Merlin or Library of Congress's catalog or Orbis at Yale University, they don't come turning the heat down or the air conditioning. Now everyone's putting clothes on. So yeah, you just don't quite know what to do here. So I put it up to about 78. So online catalogs don't come pre-programmed with certain indexing approaches and searches. You, librarians, have to give programmers direction so that they do what's right for the data. Otherwise, who knows what the programmers are going to do? Who knows? So part of your job as a cataloger will not only be building the records, but telling the programmers how to index them so that users get results that make sense. So you might be the boss someday, and how are you going to tell your programmers to index your cataloging data? That's what this is about. So if you were to go to Merlin Classic, you would be able to use the basic search. There's certainly advanced search, but advanced is basically based on basic. There's a pull-down menu, and it has all these options. Words anywhere. This is the default search. This is the default. Words anywhere, and that's what it says. Whatever words you entered, Merlin's going to search them anywhere in the record. Good luck. Title begins with or title words. You notice I always use title begins with. Does anyone know why? In fact, I ask you, I say, what's the title? And you tell me legacy of trust, the legacy of mutual trust. Why do I always use title begins with? Why do I do that? There's a method to my madness. And you know today I have gone mad. Right? Why do I do that? So if I go back to Merlin, and I do a search on Merlin, basic, I always choose. If I know the name of the title, I always say title begins with. Why? Because I know exact, yes?
You don't want to use quotes.
Huh?
You don't want to use quotes.
Because I don't want to use quotes. No, not quite. I know that the, yes?
If you already know the title, then putting in any word would be, you would get a lot more results than you do.
Well, exactly. And I know that this search will probably enable me to see a browsing list of all titles beginning with Legacy of Mutual Trust. And I know exactly how the catalog is built. Didn't we literally transcribe the titles into the 2, 4, 5 A and B subfields? Didn't we? That's all I'm doing is searching those. I know the title. This is the most precise, most exact way of getting exactly what you want. And research shows it. If I were to search for the author, I might get several things. Not by this author. If I search for Jenny Priest, I might get several books. If I search for Barbara Vine, I'm going to get several books. I just want Anna's book, that's all. So give me a search that indexes a 2, 4, 5, subfield A and subfield B, and I can find anything I want in a split second and only get one thing. That's all I want is that book. So a Legacy Mutual Trust. You know immediately the A is not indexed, right? Because of the indicator 2, which probably put 0, 1, 2. Its indicator is 2, so it's indexed or filed under Legacy, not under A. And let's take a look at that. So I search for a Legacy of Mutual Trust. I don't think it's in this catalog, but it might be. I know immediately, it's over with. It's over with. I don't have to go any further. This library don't have that book. That's all that's to it. Don't have it. Let's see how they do it. I wonder if they own the item. I need the catalog. Where is search for books? All libraries, all fields. Don't want it. Title. A. Legacy. Legacy. Mutual. That's all I need. There it is. Boom. Just automatic. Comes right up. I know the catalog's organized. I probably haven't indexed it, not this particular one, but I figured it out pretty quickly. So it comes right up. Oh, look, look. They made a little abstract here. Isn't that nice? Okay, so you see how they, in fact, this would be a really good example. Can we get the MARC record here? I guess not. But it's very interesting to see. What's their main entry, guys? What's the main entry here? Otto Hurthbach, just the one that we used, and then Gretchen Doolin is an added author. Okay. And they did not make an entry for our friend, the Old Fort Niagara Association. Why? Because it's in the publisher. We can retrieve it that way. Okay. So going back to the indexing slides. So someone had to, when Merlin was being set up, someone had to make decisions about what these searches would be. And these searches are different. If you go to the Library of Congress catalog, online catalog, these are going to be different. If you go to Orbis at Yale University, they're going to be different. And you have so many catalogs to get inspiration from. If you don't like the Niagara Falls Public, you can go to Buffalo County. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Grand Rapids. Look at the Grand Rapids Public Library. Oh, you're from Mayo Public Library? Look for Mayo. I bet you Traverse City has a public library and a catalog online. There's tons of examples. And there's some similarities, but there's also some differences. So if you're struggling over what indexes to make for your catalog, look how other libraries have done it. Find other libraries like you. If I'm at the University of Michigan, whose catalog might I look at? If I'm designing a new University of Michigan catalog, whose catalog am I going to look at? Earlham College? No. Who would I look at? Come on, guys. Whose library catalogs would I look at? I'm sorry? Are we a state university? Okay. Are we going to look at Michigan State's? Are they up to us? Huh? Are they? Who are we going to look at? Probably. Who else? Where did we get our catalog from? Did we make it? No, we didn't make our catalog. Where did our catalog come from? Oh, no. Kind of. No? Kind of. Actually, kind of, yeah. Kind of. Through the years, yeah. Since 1968, yes. Where else? Ohio, yeah, that's sociology. Where else? We started probably doing online cataloging in 1971, 1972. We got a lot of records from the Library of Congress, a lot of records for current material from other libraries throughout the country where we did copy cataloging. Where did we get all that stuff before 1971? Who typed it in? No, we didn't. We literally took the catalog of University of Minnesota, the team that's coming to town this week. And they took Minnesota's catalog and they compared it against University of Michigan's, each card, and whenever there was a match, they took Minnesota's record. So it's the University of Minnesota's catalog. So when their band is out on the field, you can sing along with it, because part of Minnesota is right here at University of Michigan. Just a little known fact from someone who's been around for a whole long time. So, when you do a search in something like Merlin for an author. So let's choose to do a search Merlin for Kilgore under author. That would be interesting. Take a look to see, he's listed as an author here. So where does his name occur? Where is Fred Kilgore's name? Where's my mark format? Mark, there it is. Where's Kilgore's name? Kilgore is listed, holy cow, oh, there he is. There he is, as a 700 in this record. So we know that for the author search, the 700 field is indexed. Okay? We know that. Let's get another record. Collected papers. Oh, I'm not going to do this one. Various reason. Oh, should I do that? Yeah, actually, let's do that one. Let's do it. Collected papers of Frederick G. Kilgore. In fact, it's right here. It's one of the ones you have to catalog when we do subjects. Okay, I brought it with me. There it is. Collected papers. Collected papers. That's interesting. What do you think that means? What do you think's inside here? The collected papers of Frederick G. Kilgore. Who do you think wrote this? Frederick G. Kilgore. However, it's edited by two ladies, Ann Dotson and Pat Becker. Oh, I can imagine that. I can't say it. Anyway, I was there when they did this, so I know it happened. So there's our title page. Anyway, there's our title page. Collected papers of Frederick G. Kilgore, the OCLC years. It doesn't say by Fred Kilgore, does it? But he is traced in this particular example. If I can bring it down a little. He's traced in the 100 field. So now we know in that author search we take from the 100, we take from the 700. So this is how you can figure out how these indexes are made. Because this is exactly what you will have to do if you build a library catalog. You're going to have to say, in the author indexes, what fields do we put in there? And not only that, what fields, but what subfields? Are we going to take the A and the B and the C and so on and so forth? You have to make those decisions. If you even look through the indexes, take a look through these indexes. This is the browse index under the author's, searching for the author's last name. Notice we have Kilgore Frederick G. That's the A subfield, right? Here's Kilgore, Frederick G. Comp. What's comp? What's the comp? What subfield? E. Okay? So now we know into that browse index they also put the E. Kilgore, John Graham. What subfield is this? What subfield is this? Now, if we didn't have the D in there, let me just show you what's going to happen. So for John Brown, there's lots of John Browns, right? It's really helpful to have more information in this browse index so I can decide which is the John Brown who did something nasty at Harper's Ferry. And I'm looking for what dates? When did Harper's Ferry happen? 1850s, okay, at least before the Civil War, for those of you who might. Does anyone know when the Civil War started? 1865 it started. Oh, of course, yes, I remember reading that book. Okay, it started in 1861. What year did it end? Okay, good, 1864, yeah, right. Okay, moving on. Someone didn't study their American history, so take a look through these headings. All these John Browns, see how those dates are real important? You don't have those dates in there, all the John Browns get all collapsed together. And here's a John Brown who wrote 11 things. There's 44. Oh, look at this John Brown. He wrote forever. Lots of stuff. You don't add those dates in, every John Brown heading collapses. Let's continue on the next page, because I still haven't found our John Brown. Oh, here's one. This is a possibility, you think? 1858. If I don't know my history, this isn't it, because this is after the Civil War. You think this might be him? Maybe? Okay, I don't know when they did him in, but let's take a look. Captain John Brown of Harper's Ferry. All right? So this is the guy that we're interested in. Realize if we don't index other information in the 700 and 100 fields, we will have all those headings collapse and everything by John Brown is all going to end up in one big bucket. Kind of like this. Let's search for author words, John Brown. Or let's do Brown kind of John. And we'll maybe have a smoke while we wait. Cup of coffee. Get out the paper. It takes a long time, doesn't it? It was so easy the other way. Just browse through the list. So do you see the difference, what's happening here? The browse list, that's one type of search. So we enter a name and we look through, almost like a telephone book. We look through all the various names. Boy, this is taking its time, isn't it? I wonder why this was taking so long. In contrast, Amazon, or not Amazon, what's that other thing? Google, it's so quick. There they are. And how many are there? Oh, 3,768. Good luck finding your John Brown. Good luck. Good luck. So this is an example of a keyword search for author. Very precise, isn't it? I'll find those Harper's Ferry thing right here. I don't know what this is. Oh, there's Emery. Well, I asked for John Brown. Why did it give me Emery Brown? Huh? But I just want John Brown. Oh, here's John F. Jerry Brown, and so on. Here's an interesting one. I don't even see why we got that. There's no John Brown in there. Where's John Brown? Oh, John Brown, where are you? Well, good luck. Here's Brown, and where's John? Third line. 1, 2, 3. Oh, but that's not John Brown. Do you see how keyword searching divorces the words from the phrase? See how it does that? Such a disappointment. I didn't get the John Brown I'm interested in. So realize that keyword searching, even though sometimes it can be very, very useful, particularly when your words are very unique, it just doesn't work for John Brown. And I could give you an example for Dan Brown and so on and so forth. So when I choose the phrase searching for an author, I'm taking the information from these fields plus their subfields. The A, the B, the C, the D, the Q, the whatever. But someone has to make those decisions. Forget the date, and you got problems. Forget the date, and you have problems. Because the collapsing is going to begin. Dan Brown. Did I do it by Dan Brown? No, I didn't do Dan Brown. Okay, so we've already searched for a title, we searched for an author, and so on and so forth. So if you work through, well, let's work through this. Title begins with, let's enter a cataloging classification, and let's see from what fields we get our retrievals. So let's go back and do the basic search. Cataloging. You can see I search the same things over and over and over again. Oh, take a look at those. Take a look at those titles. This is from the 245 A subfield, cataloging. What do you think this is from? What subfield is this? The B subfield. So now you know. In a title field, we take from the A and we take from the B. Do we take from the C, the statement of responsibility? This may lead you to think that we do, because it says cataloging classification, Maurice Tauber, subject headings by Carlisle Frary. I bet you all these people are dead. In fact, this was published in 1960 before even AACR. So this is an older cataloging record. Why didn't we update it? Why didn't we update this record? And say here, in fact here, let's do mark tags. Oh, look at this. A subfield, cataloging classification, subfield D by Maurice Tauber. It's a dirty record. There's a mistake. Okay. D by Carlisle Frary. Nice. That's why that one's there. Dirty catalog. Dirty catalog. Dirty indexing. Here's an interesting one. Cataloging classification for the small library, second edition. It makes you think that the 250 is indexed here. Let's take a look at this record. Interesting. I don't know how they indexed this one. I don't have a clue. Cataloging classification. Oh, that's right in the title. Notice there's no subfield coding. So it's not the programmer's fault, it's the cataloger. They should have put this information in the 250 field. Something happened. Bad cataloger. Dirty cataloger. So you should be able to look at some of these records and say, wonder what's going on there. Notice that subfield C was not included because it is actually subfielded. You can see the subfield delimiter and the subfield letter C. So that was at least plunked out. So we know that in a title index, 245A is indexed, but not C. Not C. Why wouldn't you index C? Make a case for indexing C. Make a case for not indexing C. Someone tell me. What's usually in the 245C subfield? What information? You can look in your notes. Boy, I can't wait to have the test next week. My little red pen will be going to town. Huh?
Statement of responsibility.
And what type of information is a statement of responsibility?
Generally, the person.
Who?
who is responsible for creating the work.
Exactly, exactly. Is that a title?
No.
No, that's very different. So I wouldn't put it in a title index. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. And in fact, we've figured out in the title index, title phrase index for Merlin, title propers index, remainder of the titles index, but not the statement of responsibility. And along the way, we found that catalogs are dirty. Okay, and I don't mean dirty like what happened earlier in class. I mean dirty in the sense that the data is dirty. Okay? The data is dirty. It's not subfilled correctly. There are mistakes in the subfields, and the list goes on. There are earlier records that didn't even use subfield coding. Oh, here's my Dan Brown. I'm interested in the Dan Brown that wrote the Da Vinci Code. So let's search Dan Brown in our favorite Merlin catalog. Author, words, Dan Brown. Look at all the weird stuff I'm getting. Something by Jason Brown. 13, the original Broadway cat. Wasn't 13 a movie? Wasn't that a scary movie or something, 13? Okay, 100 Rifles. What's that about? Dan and Jim Brown. Oh, I remember Jim Brown. Oh, I remember Raquel Welch, too. Remember her? Remember these guys? These are Yaqui Joe, an Indian, robs a bank to buy guns for his people who are being oppressed by a cruel military government. When he flees to Mexico, he's pursued by an American woman. It must be Raquel Welch, who has sworn to bring him back. Very interesting, but has nothing to do with our Dan Brown, does it? We want the Da Vinci Code Dan Brown. So where is it? Where is Dan Brown? How many things do I have to look at? 146. I'm tired already. I know you're tired because some of you are already looking at Facebook. Okay? Just kidding. Ballads and love songs from the early years. Where's Dan? Oh, it's by Doris Day. Lou Brown, and where's Dan? Dan. Yoo-hoo. Oh, it's Dan's way over here. Do you see how these words got divorced? And keyword indexing, keyword retrieval allows us to retrieve this record. Now, the difference between searching Merlin and searching Google is, of course, Google will relevance rank your retrievals based upon how close the words are together and how often the words occur in the document surrogate. And I think the new Merlin does that too. But I don't like the new Merlin because, for various reasons that we can talk about the last week of class. But I don't have time for it now. Okay. So, back to the pretty slides. So, searching Merlin using the author word search literally breaks up everything here and everything also they've added in the author index the words from the individual tables of contents. Did you notice that? That's in the author search. Remember? Do I have to show you that again? Let's just quickly go back. Because notice, oh, that's nice. My author search searched the credits because there's a name in it. So the librarian at University of Michigan, we know already, the librarian for the author word search has chosen not only the 100, 110, I don't know if they used the 111. I'm not going to deal with that because we're not using that this semester. 100, 700. The credits field. Oh, I don't even know what field that is. Mark tag. Let's see. Tell me, what is it? Where are the credits? Where is it? 5 what? 511. That's Doris Day, vocals by various performers. I can't hear you. 5 what? 508 field. Compiled. Okay, I don't even know what a 508 field is. But this just isn't working. 508. And where was Brown? 500, 505. Shall we look at a few others? Let's look at a few others. Clueless. Here's a good one. Clueless. I'm clueless. It's about share. Dan, performers. Performers. And where's Brown? It's under performers. Let's look at the mark tags. And where are performers? You guys can see it quicker than I can. 511 field. Yep, there it is, Brown. And Dan. 511. Oh, I picked up the same one, didn't I? Get this out of my sight. Now, where's the one I was using? Okay, 511. So, this is an author search. An author search. And see the fields we're taking from? 100, 110, 700, 710, and so on and so forth. So it is really straightforward. You really have to look at your mark format, and you have to really be an expert in what's in your catalog when you do this indexing exercise, which you guys are going to do. And it's going to be graded. And I can't wait to hand it out. So you want your assignment now? Okay. Let's see what else I have to say about this. Just kind of finish up. Okay, so keyword searching versus phrase. Keyword searching breaks up all the data. Breaks it up. So when you search it, one of your words might be in the performer field and one might be in the author with principal responsibility field. So if Brown is over here and Dan is over here, those words have been totally taken out of context. This is not about Dan Brown or a book by Dan Brown. Something different. I love phrase searching. I love it. I love those indexes. I just browse it, pick out what I want, and that's it. But I've always been one of those people who sort of, I think I'll know it when I see it. So give me some ideas. So I search through that index, or if I'm going shopping, I go waltzing down the soup aisle, and I just know the kind when I get there. I just know what it will be. But I have to get that broad picture. All the soups. Now, which one do I need? You guys probably do that when you go shopping, right? So you go down to Macy's. Do we have Macy's here? Okay. So you just say, I need a sweater. This is what I think I want. You kind of look at it. That's what browsing is all about. So I have an idea of what I want. Show me what you got. But show me what you got in context. Okay? Precision. Benefits of keyword searching? It's recall. I'll get everything that bears the word Dan and everything that bears the word Brown. And if I have enough energy, I'll look through it. With John Brown and 3,700 things, I don't have energy for that. If you only have an author keyword search in your catalog, your searches for John Brown just blow up right in front of you. And how many little kids learn about the Civil War and Harper's Ferry and what happened there? Imagine them going through your catalog and looking for John Brown. You have to help them every single time if you don't have an author phrase search. Thus, the reason I don't like the new Merlin. Limiting criteria, well, whenever I do a search in Merlin, does it allow me to do that for the basic search? No, I have to go to advanced. So if I want to find an author word, actually, I'm going to do something different. Let me find the subject word. Interested in everything about John Brown. And I want to limit it by language because I don't know anything except English, at least today. And I'm not going to struggle with French. I guess I want a book because there's just lots of things written about him. Just give me a whole book. And location, something near me. Where am I? I don't know most of the time. So where do I want it? What's the closest library? Okay. That's not close. I have to walk across. DVDs? I don't know if there's any DVDs. Where is it? Donald Hall Collection? Let's see if they have anything. They probably don't have books. No. Let's try that again. You mean you reset yourself? No. Stupid. Stupid. This is why catalogers should be helping with this. So what did I say, John Brown? John Brown. Let's limit it to Donald. Let's see if there's any movies about him. Yes! Mrs. Brown. Directed by John Manning. No! No! There was a movie, wasn't that about Queen Victoria? Okay. Thus. You now know. Once you divorce that word. So you know immediately I was doing a subject keyword search as opposed to a subject heading search. But you can see the results. So let's just go for subject. There isn't any subject. I don't like this. There's not a subject heading search? Yeah, let's see what happens. Nah, I don't want to do that. So John Brown. Wow. So let's say I just want to go to Hatcher. So these are your limiting criteria. And let's see how many I get this time. I get 167, but again, these are not necessary about the John Brown we're really interested in, because it did a keyword search for those subject words. The afterlife of John Brown? Yeah, there he is. There he is. See his little picture? So again, this is a keyword search when you do the limiting criteria. Enough. Here's your assignment. Please do this with 2 others. Some of you don't want handouts. Okay, I've noticed that some of you do not want handouts. If you do not want handouts, I will not have them made. So it will not be made for everything, okay? That's the rule, because I can't say, oh, PowerPoint slides, there's 23 of them. For everything else, there's 22, blah, 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 and so on. Who does not want me to make hard copies? Is there anyone who does not want hard copies? You rely entirely on the computer. Okay. I will continue to have these made. So work with 2 others on this. 2 other people in class. Familiarize yourself with some catalogs. Familiarize yourself with a little bit with Merlin, with Library of Congress catalog. There's some others, Yale, Ohio Inc., whatever. And take a look to see how they do indexing. Just how I did it right here. See how they do it. And then what I want you to do is, for the cataloging you've done this semester, choose the indexes and the searching approaches that you would build in your own library catalog. That's all. So build your own library catalog for the records that you've done this semester. And what you have to do is choose the field and subfield codes associated with each individual search. And you can only specify 3 to 7 searches. 3 to 7. No more, no less. You might decide only 3, you might decide 7, whatever. And an all-purpose keyword indexing bearing all values is unacceptable. That's taking the easy way out. And I don't even think it's an easy way. I think it's just junk. So here's an example for a standard number search. Now realize these are searches for your library's users. I don't think very many library users walk up and do a standard number search. So this is probably one you wouldn't have, but I'm just showing you how to do it. So give it a name, and give it a name that an everyday user is going to understand. In fact, you probably want to even describe a little bit about your library. Is your library like an Earlham College with 1,000 students and 100 faculty? Or is it University of Michigan with 50,000 students and so many faculty that I don't even know how many there are? Is it a public library? How many people are in your city? How many users do you have? And so on and so forth. Or, you know, you can choose a city about the size of Ann Arbor. You can likewise choose a city about the size of West Branch. Much smaller. So the indexing I would apply to this would be phrase indexing. You get the choice of phrase or keyword. That's it. I just gave you examples of each. And the field and subfield codes would be the 020A subfield. And just give me a description of what the field and subfield is. So 020 is the ISBN, by the way. Just pluck that right out of the OCLC bibliographic formats. Choose your catalog's limiting criteria. We just used a few in Merlin. So you're going to name it and describe it in terms that are real simple for a user. Users don't have a lot of time, or let's put it this way, they don't want to spend a lot of time searching. So just give enough information that you think will be understandable to your library users at Grand Rapids Public Library or Chicago Public Library. Vice versa, Youngstown Public Library, all 841 happy people or whatever it is. So in this case, I decided on language, the language of the written work. I'm going to apply phrase indexing. I'm going to take it from the Lang field. We haven't been introduced to Lang yet, but we will be. We will. And I'm just naming it from the OCLC MARC format as the language field and subfield name. And then answer some questions about how these searches and indexing approaches are faithful to the Ferber model and to Cutter's principle of the best interest of the user. And what did you learn by doing this assignment? Optional. Some student groups in the past have submitted reports that describe their hypothetical catalog's library and library users. This is optional. However, minus such a description, I, the person who has to grade it, will make it up. Okay? It's in my imagination, and you know my imagination can run wild, run rampant over the field. Okay? I have a vivid imagination. Are you clear on what to do? Okay? Yeah.
And we turn in one document.
Yeah, one document, that's all. And you'll probably have to fill in a, what do I call those things? One of those evaluation forms because it's a group project. And you grade the other people in your group as to their participation. And I read those. So if all of a sudden I read, person A, everyone gave this person 99, 98%. It's always interesting what people say about themselves. and then the person next to you got like a 50%. Everyone gave them 50%. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I will grade that 50%er down. All right? So I really take that into consideration because I know what group work is like. I know that sometimes there are people who are what they call free riders. Free riders, okay?
I'm not sure I understand. So we're taking the 6 books that we've been looking at all the way along, and that's what we're doing 3 to 7 searches for each one. Is that
No, you aren't. No, what you're doing is you're saying to yourself, where's that assignment? Well, you had it sitting right there. You have all your stuff out there, which is so nice. Here's our bibliographic records. We've been assigning title fields and author fields and so on. These are not for catalogers. These are eventually for users to find information, to know that the library owns the new creative divorce. Okay? What you're doing is basically looking at all the fields and subfields that you've assigned in your records, and you're deciding which ones you're going to index in your catalog. You're building a Merlin catalog is what you're doing. Okay, you're still baffled. Come see me during my office hours. Or work with some people in your group. Say, can I work with you? Please, please, please. I don't understand what the heck she's talking about. Okay, help me, help me. And if you still don't understand with your group, come see me. I always sit there in my office hours and just kind of do my own work because no one ever shows up. Someone showed up yesterday. I was so excited I couldn't contain myself. Okay? And I was so happy, and I sit down, we worked on the blackboard, even if it was like the simplest little question in the world. But I so much enjoyed that someone came to visit me. Okay? Okay? And this is what you do. This is what the people at Merlin did. When they got the new Merlin, they had to decide, if we're going to have an author search, what fields contribute author information into that particular field? If we're going to have a title search, what fields of the record contribute information? Then we need to decide, are we going to have a title phrase search, or are we going to have an author phrase search? We're going to have a keyword search, and so on and so forth. Asking people into your group from 665 might help, because they know how to create indexes, trust me, because they've seen them. Every week we've gone through indexes. Okay? So some of you are still in the dark, come see me. You can see me today. I'll be there until about 5 after, and then I have to meet with colleagues in a meeting, but we're going to go to lunch at Cottage Inn instead. I mean, if we have to be in a meeting, we're going to eat. Okay? Any questions? Other questions? All right, well, we've kind of run out of time to cover anything new, which means we're going to get behind. I was going to have, and again, I don't know what's going to happen with the tests, so I was going to have people from Sky River talk to us later in the semester, and maybe that's time that we will use to make up because we're getting behind. So, did you guys want to review? Because if you don't want to review, I won't review anything. We'll just go on the new material. How many want to review before the test? How many don't want to review? You know, every one of you is looking around saying, oh, if anyone puts up their hand, I'm going to just take them into the alley and beat them up. I told you I have a vivid imagination. Uh-oh, where'd it go? I know I have it here. I remember having it. No. No. Did I hand it out? No. I worked so hard on that. Oh, here it is. I named it something I didn't expect. I wanted to see the word review, but it wasn't the first word. I was doing a phrase index in my head. I literally was. So I want to keep a half an hour for this, and I am living up to my promise to myself. I'm just going to launch right in. Staging of access. It's the ratio of the size of one access level to the next, resulting in increasingly lengthier surrogates. Okay, remember that? Remember staging of access? It was a thing I told you to do this assignment way last summer. When I do a search in the library catalog and I get retrievals, in fact, the example for John Brown is a great one. I got 3,700 retrievals. I can't take those in real quick. It takes me a while. If this is the result of my search, see it? See this result of my search? That's a lot of stuff. I can't take that in. I have to literally take each book out. What's this book about? Look at, first I might even just look on the outside, right? Not interested in that. Galileo's daughter. Wonder what her problem was, okay? Look inside. Look at the title. That's interesting. And then, ooh, I don't like the handwriting. Okay, and then I open it up. I look at the table of contents, sort of look through it, see if there's any pictures so I don't have to do all that reading. That's staging of access. Giving myself a little bit more information at each point. So if we look at books and the staging of access for books, where's my black thing, my little pointer doodad? Anyone see it around here? I'm always looking for it. Why would I put it there? Anyway, when we look at the book, the staging of access is first in a catalog. If we get retrievals in a catalog, it's a title. We read those titles. Is this the kind of stuff I want? It's about the John Brown from Harper's Ferry. Then I might open the record, look at the subject headings. Then I might look at the table of contents when I get the book, or maybe the table of contents is listed there. I look in the back of the book index, and finally I sit down and, I'm going to read this book. Interesting, it's about John Brown. What was interesting about the research behind this is that each little bit of information is a 30th of the previous one. Okay? Just a 30th. And it breaks down for everything. It breaks down for journals, it breaks down for books, and we even suggested it might break down for web pages. So, Marcia Bates, I always quote her, the persistence of these ratios suggests that they represent the end result of a shaking down process in which, through experience, people became most comfortable when access to information is staged in 30-to-1 ratios. Just look at the title. I'll look at the subject headings. I'll look at the title page. I'm sorry, the table of contents. Look at the back of the book index. Oh, I'm going to read the book. I'm ready for you now. This is the one I want. Think about how you approach a book. So think about this staging of access. And in 666, we're learning how to catalog. We're learning how to build, in a sense, how to build in the staging of access. Right, to some extent, right here. We don't do all the tables of contents for books, but that's what we're doing, is we're doing this staging of access. That's what cataloging is all about. It's to help users. That's all. Any questions about staging of access? Any questions? I wonder if there's a question on the quiz about that. Teacher, tell me. I'm not going to tell you. Metadata. It's data about data. There are 4 types. Look in your notes. What are the 4 types? Metadata schemes. This is the definition. Metadata schemes are made up of metadata elements or fields. And we've been introduced to lots of them. There's a title and statement of responsibility. There's the edition. There's the publication, distribution, manufacturer, etc. statement. There's the, what else? Physical description, and so on and so forth. Well-known metadata schemes include library cataloging. What is a metadata element? There's a definition. And it's the same definition I give in 665. So if you get to memorize this, you get it right both in 665 and 666. Is everyone with me so far? I'm just going over very briefly everything that we've gone through so far. Governing metadata schemes are semantics, content rules, syntax, and application profiles. Be familiar with these. Go back to that metadata framework table. It tells you what tools to use at each step of the process. So look at under library cataloging. Just get a feel for what this is all about. Because we've looked through most of the tools already. What we're missing out is on all the tools associated with subjects. We just haven't gone through that yet. Go back to the metadata framework table. It tells you what tools the various metadata schemes, including library cataloging, which was what we've been doing, use for semantics, content rules, syntax, and application profiles. Give me an example of what we've used for semantics so far in library cataloging. What tool for semantics? What was it? Didn't hear you. RDA. Close but no banana. ISBD, without a doubt. What do we use for content rules? I just heard it. I just heard it. RDA, content rules. What do we use for syntax? Mark. What do we use for application profiles? Application profiles is where do we get more information? Well, we look in the OCLC bibliographic formats, right? Okay, next. Ferber. Remember Ferber? You know you're going to get a question on Ferber. You just know it. I can almost guarantee it, but I'm not going to tell you. Ferber. Ferber grew out of Cutter, his rules for a dictionary catalog. They go back, you know, it's hard to believe, almost 150 years. Almost to Harper's Ferry. Just think, that guy had only been dead for what, 25 years? 15 years. 1859, I can't do that real quick. 17 years. Harper's Ferry. And then we had rules for the dictionary catalog. But that's what RDA grows out of it. It's been kind of around since 2005. What was its impetus? Go look back at one of my slides. Why did we do FBR? Ferber, why didn't we just stick with AACR? Take a look at that. It's in your slides. What is Ferber? Oh, remember those big words, an abstract and conceptual model of the bibliographic universe. Oh, that was so hard. I still don't understand what it is. But anyway, that's the definition. Using Ferber to organize the bibliographic universe will help people do these four things. You can find what you want. You can identify stuff that's likely to interest you. You can select what really interests you, and you can actually get the actual item itself. What we think of as a book, Ferber really perceives as a work, expression, manifestation, and item. This is what we catalog. I can make a movie about it. This is what we catalog. The manifestation. And then Ferber uses three groups, group 1, group 2, group 3, to characterize catalogable attributes of works, expressions, manifestations, and items. That's all that is. Each one of those groups, he uses these three groups. Be familiar with each group. Be familiar with each group. Let me tell you. Be familiar. Say to yourself, what is this group? What is it? How would I describe group 1 in my own words? How would I describe group 2 in my own words? How would I describe group 3 in my own words? Just looking at that silly little schematic that I showed you so many weeks ago. So familiarize, oh, I set it down here, so it must be on the test, you think? Maybe, I don't know. When you become familiar with each group, then you just sort of say, oh, Now I know the attributes that will make up the library catalog. I will just know because I understand these groups. So go back and just try to describe each group in your own words. It will really help you. Trust me. Then we moved on to description or identification. These elements give a physical description of the work in hand. We used words and phrases to describe the physical attributes. We just don't take a picture of the item and file it in the catalog. We use words and phrases because it's so hard to search for a picture. So we have to use words and phrases. What helps us? ISBD. It tells us the elements of the description, semantics, the order, and the punctuation. And you now know that some of the punctuation, remember these things around series? Remember the hyphens in ISBN numbers? So yeah, it mandates them, but when we eventually encode it and mark, we drop some of them. ISBD. There is an ISBD description. And if I know my ISBD punctuation, I can immediately identify each one of these elements. I know immediately. This is the title proper. This is the other title information. This is a statement of responsibility. This is the what? What's this? What's this? This. What's this crap? Physical description. What's written word series, volume 3? The series. What's this stuff? It's a note. It's a note. And what's this? Okay. Know your ISBN, you can get through any cataloging record. And you can know the ones that are wrong. Like we saw some wrong ones today, didn't we? They just dropped out. Remember the one that dropped out the coding? We didn't have any coding here in between the statement of responsibility and the addition. And so the program just locked it up and slapped it into the title field. Formulating descriptions. These are the 7 elements of description. So ISBD is cataloging's semantics. Look at your framework. I bet you it says the same thing. Next, we need guidance and direction regarding how to represent each of these 7 elements. Where do we get that? We get it from RDA. Those are the content rules. Don't believe me? Go back to the metadata framework. If you need more information, consult the LCC PCCPSs, otherwise known as RDA's API, or the, yeah, okay, good enough. And if you were in this class, the first day of class, you would have said, what is she talking about? But everyone here probably had a good idea what I was trying to say there. Where do you find the LCCPSs? Where do you find them? Where do they come from? The stork bring them? Where do I get them? Do I get them in a book? Yeah, they're right in RDA. They're embedded right in there. I don't know if I'll find one here, but let's just take a look. There it is, LCPCCPS. Click there, and you get so much information that you think you're just going to like scream. Blah, 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 blah. That's what the Library of Congress had to say about that. For each element, RDA tells us its definition, where to find it on the resource, otherwise known as a source of information. There's also something called the preferred source of information. Check those things out. They may help you later. Where to find the element on the resource. Source of information. What data are core to the element? What data do I have to have there to be core? Just have a core record. And how to represent the element. There's all these problems. There's capitalization, and there are abbreviations, there are languages, there's handling dates and introductory phrases and so on and so forth. And RDA has something to say about everything for each element. Don't forget RDA's principle of representation. Do you remember what that was? It's 4 words. Principle of representation, what is it? Take what you see. Excellent. Don't forget, RDA highlights core elements in this very unreadable blue text. Remember that? So anything that's real important, you can't read it because it's too light to be seen. Don't forget, core, blue, blue, how it sticks out, how it's so obvious. Core. So see your description slides for all these particular elements. These are the ones we went through. Familiarize them, familiarize yourself with them, particularly the core elements. Eventually we got to mark. And mark is just made up of a 3-digit tag. We have our 2 indicators. We have various subfield elements, and then the marked up data. So that for the 2, 4, 5 field, there's our 3-digit tag. We have the first indicator being a 1. What does that mean? Yes, there is an added entry, whatever added entry means. What does 0 mean? We file in the first letter, the R. What's the A subfield? What does this represent? Title? Proper. You got to use the proper terminology. Or you talking to another cataloger, you'll be whatever, off somewhere. You won't understand. What's B? Other title information. What's C? Statement of responsibility. Okay, there's the marked up data. Here are some important fields that you're going to find in most records. This is at least, you just at least have to memorize these fields and be familiar with them. And for more information, see OCLC marked bibliographic format. Tells you all the answers, so to speak. Name, title, access points. That's what we did this last week. We had authorized access points for the important persons, corporate bodies, families connected with the work. And we always have to have work. This is core. All the rest is not core. However, your decision whether you're going to include a name, title, access point is based upon your library's policy, how much time, how much, who your faculty is, what your interests are at your institution, your mission statement, and so on and so forth. What departments you have, the public library with special collections, and so on and so forth. So the work, and of these work access point, we designate one with what? One with what? Starts with a P. Principal responsibility. Primary is good enough. Principal, primary. Just, this is real important, this access point. Principal responsibility. And that's almost always at the work level. Don't forget, draw a line here. These probably aren't core. However, good practice usually says, yeah, we add editors and so on. We rarely add anything from the manifestation. This is already in the publication statement. And we went through this. Remember with Gretchen Doolan's, the old Fort Niagara Association? Remember that? And I worked my way through it, and then I said, we already have it. We already have it. I think I do that every semester, forgetting that. And the item, maybe just signees, dedicatees, previous owners, and so on. So, name, title, access points. In the 1XX field, this is the person, corporate body, family having the principal responsibility. This is for all the others. Check LC authorities. Find the name. Find the authorized name. Copy it, and you paste it into the bibliographic record. So remember, Pat Kranzler was Patricia B. Kranzler with her date. even though only Pat Kranzler was the name used in the item. And all this is, it gets even worse when you're dealing with people who change their names, like Samuel Clemens and like me. Don't forget that the authorities format is a little bit different than the marked bibliographic format. In the 1XX and 5XX fields are authorized forms and name. Your decision to use the name in the 1XX or the 5XX is usually depends upon the name that's actually used on the item. And the authority record will usually give you some direction. And people having more than one bibliographic identity, they usually are authorized to have more than one name. But pretty much the library catalog follows the principle of what? Starts with a U. Uniform heading. Uniform heading. One person, one name. One corporate body, one name. And what's the guiding principle for the form of name? Their birth name? Huh?
The most commonly known.
Most commonly known as. Exactly. Great. Great. Look at these other names. Some interesting ones. J.K. Rowling. Some of you were asking me about her last week. Look up her authority record. See what it says. So, usually the name listed first on the resources title page is encoded in the authorized access point with principal responsibility, the 1XX field. We only have one of those in catalog records, only one. But not always. If a resource is connected with a corporate body, you have to make it through the corporate body rule to see if that body is given principal responsibility. And there's six cases. If it meets any one of those, it fits the corporate body as the authorized access point with principal responsibility. Remember our examples? There were Manny Words. Remember him? He had a brief introduction followed by Cam Arrow's many photographs. So your choice slides. We decided the principal responsibility was the guy who did the photography. Just like, it's not unlike this one. He wrote it. Otto wrote this. This is his diary. These are his letters. Okay? He wrote it. He has principal responsibility. Let's catalog. Well, we don't have time. So I have this cataloging example. I'm just going to page through it quickly. You can do it on your own, and I have an answer sheet. Don't look at the answer sheet. Catalog it yourself. Okay? Big book. Big book. So don't worry about the physical description so much. And I had them photocopy some pages, but very, very quickly for the physical description. Does this help? Does this help for the physical description? What are you looking for? You're looking for illustrations. What color are they? Oh, there's a tit. There's a tit. This is a blue tit. These are European. They're sort of like our little chickadees, okay? But they're just called tits. We have a tit mouse, a little bit different. I guess the Puritans thought we should put mouse after it. I don't know. So you see the pretty pictures? Pretty. Ooh, yes. Nice. That looks like a thrash. Oh, that's a European cuckoo. I told you. What sound does a cuckoo make? European? Cuckoo. Yeah, exactly. He's probably banding him. So, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I learned something about birds from my cereal box today, and I thought it was birds.
And
I didn't know that cuckoos put their eggs in other birds' nests that look like them. And then I thought of the word couple, and I wondered, how does it relate like in the paper when over my Meyer brand cereal? So it's good.
when the peregrine falcon arrived at the University of Michigan, and everyone was so excited a few years ago, the bird division here was collecting the carcasses at the bottom of Burton Tower. What was the #1 bird carcass that they were eating. Yellow-billed cuckoo. They must be really tasty. Let me also say that one of the carcasses was a yellow rail. How many yellow rails have ever been seen in Washtenaw County? I don't think any, except by the peregrine falcon. For years, there are no recorded records of a yellow rail. None whatsoever. But the peregrine falcon found it. So I always thought that was great. So anyway, here are some pages from this book, and you can catalog it on your own. And I don't know why you use paper clips, but we have our secretary ran off and got a better job in the department. So we have a new person who's doing this, and I must not have told him to staple it, okay? Yeah?
Another question regarding the format of pages.
Short answer kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't read much more than this or that.
Is it open book?
Everything is open book in my classes, okay? Everything. I don't care what you use. You can write it on your hands, anything. I don't care. You can use your phone. You can even call your friends. I don't care what you do. I really don't. Don't look at this, okay? This is the answer. Now, some people have decided that they want to send me cataloging during the week and say, teacher, is this right? That's fine. That's fine. And I'll do my best to get to it, but don't give me like 10 items. I can't handle them. Just give me a few that are kind of stumping you. And just pick your books off the shelf. That's what I do, right? That's what I do. And on this example, yes, I know, you won't be able to do the physical description because you don't have the book in here. Oh, do you want me to put the book in here? Yeah, I'll put the book in here. Could I bring your attention to one thing? Do you have 2 minutes? On page 233 in RDA is the most bizarre example that I can ever imagine. So what she did, let me try to bring this up here. This was choice. Oh, yeah, it's PDFs. What's her name? El Sherbini. And it's 233. Oh no, oh no. Chapter 6. Okay, well, if any of you read, and I can't find it offhand, but on page 233, and I know it's in your, I just can't find it because I'm in a hurry here. 6. Why isn't it in here? I swear it was in here. Well, anyway, she gives an example, and this pertains to the relator code. So she gives an example of Columbus Globes. It's the name of a company, okay? And it's a 1110. 1110 Columbus Globes. And this is on a Columbus Globes. Yes, globes, like, you know, those things that you turn round and round. You know, they look like this. And they're on a stand, right? And this is the United States and so on and so forth. And it gives the relator code as current owner. And I looked at that and I said, my God, that doesn't make any sense. How can a current owner, and this is considered, current owner would be a, the relator would be for a item. I don't understand how that could be a 110. Do you all understand why? Because current owner is not associated with the work. And this bothered me intensely. Okay? And I kept looking and I said, I don't understand this. And so I talked to Magda about it and she said, oh. She said, basically, what she was talking about this is the authority record. Authority record. And then I came back and I said, but how can an authority record would not have the relator code on it? So I think she made a mistake and she was trying to gloss over it. Okay, I don't know why she didn't say, oh shit, man, I made a mistake. That's what I would have said. And those would have been my precise words, okay? Very vivid. All right, so she also, if you look at owner, the owner is the person who owns the item. She meant current owner as the owner of the company that made the globe. I was like, that's even further out from what I thought, okay? So anyway, her bottom line was, oh, don't worry about the relator codes. They will change, they will evolve. Yeah, I know I use current owner in this context, and that's okay. So in any case, if you were stumped too by this, it's just a mistake, and just don't deal with it. Okay, just don't deal with it. It's too complicated. It was complicated for me. This took 8 emails and a long phone conversation in the evening, okay? You get the picture. See you next week.